Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. If you're new, a huge welcome to you. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Did you like that necklace, that beautiful seahorse necklace in the intro? Wasn't it cute? I absolutely love ocean themed jewelry, and I love it because it gets me in the mood to go to the beach. And I don't think I'm going to go for a while yet. I think I'm going to go near the end of summer. I know a lot of folks have gone to the beach this weekend because it's 4th of July weekend. And by the way, happy 4th of July to my US friends. Now the necklace is a little bit patriotic because it has red and blue. It doesn't have white though, it's missing the white. But that's why I have a white top on. I plan to model the necklace at the end of the video, so stick around for that. We're going to be using the beads that came in the Sam's bead box for the month of June. And if you haven't seen the unboxing, I'll leave a link down below so you can go check it out. I'll also leave some information on the subscription and a coupon code as well in case you're interested. And as always, I'll leave a list of all the materials and the tools that I'll be using today down in the description section of this video. Another thing I like to do is to list the timestamps down below as well in case you want to skip forward to any portion of the video. And if you're new and you think you might like my content, please think about subscribing to my channel because it really does help my channel and it helps me to stay motivated to create more videos for you. Plus you're going to be getting some great content. I publish mostly unboxings and reviews and tutorials, but once in a while I publish other things as well. So anyway guys, I'm very anxious to show you how to make that necklace. So let's go ahead and turn the camera around and we'll get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of June. As you can see, the name of the box is Below the Waves. Let's go ahead and select the beads. What inspired today's necklace was this beautiful seahorse pendant. I think it's absolutely adorable. I'm going to also use one of the Starfish Charms. The seahorse pendant measures 23 by 41 millimeters, and the Starfish Charm measures 17 by 21.5 millimeters. And I absolutely love this beautiful Labradorite. Look at this, guys. Isn't this stunning? It's absolutely gorgeous. These are Indian cut Labradorite faceted rondelle beads, and they measure anywhere between 7 and 9 millimeters. I'm probably going to use the larger ones. I do want to use some of these fire polished beads. I love this color. These are so pretty. And they're two-tone. They're purple and fuchsia. And these are 8 millimeters in size. I want to use a couple of these oval beads. I love that crackle effect and I love these colors, but I'm probably only going to use the blue ones. But these measure 9 by 12 millimeters and the color is Ocean Crackle. And I do want to use these Preciosa peanut beads. The color is Ocean Mix. They measure 3 by 6 millimeters, but I'm probably only going to use the blue colored ones. There are so many other gorgeous things in this box. I wish I could use all of them, but I'm going to have to save them for a different project. Let me show you what else we're going to need. I'm going to be using some leather cord, and it's round leather cord. It's 1 millimeter thick, and the color is metallic silver. I'm also going to be using some craft wire. I have 20 gauge and I have 22 gauge. I'm not particular about the brand. You can use any brand, and they're both in a silver color, as you can see. And I think that's about it. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by building the strands of the necklace, and these are the beads we're going to be using. I have my Labradorite Rondelles. I have my Preciosa peanut beads in a blue color. I have 2 of the oval crackle beads, and they're in a blue color as well. And I have the 8 millimeter faceted rounds. I also have some 22 gauge wire here. I cut myself some 3-inch pieces. We're going to be doing some wrap loops, so you want to make sure you have enough wire for that. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to grab my wire about 1.25 inches down, like this, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, and I want to use the thicker part of my barrel because I want my loops to be nice and big. And now I'm going to grab the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And now using these pliers, these are crimping pliers, but I like to use the tip of them. I'm going to grab the loop, And with another set, these are needle nose pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Using flush cutters, I'm going to cut off the excess. And you do want to tuck in any little sharp end that you see. Now each one of these types is going to be in its own separate piece of wire. For the Labradorites, I'm going to load a peanut bead, and then a Labradorite, and now another peanut bead, just like that. And now I'm going to grab the wire right where the bead is, like this, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. Once again, I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, and with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in any little sharp end. Let me straighten out my loop a little bit. You do want to make sure your loops are level. You want to make sure they're facing the same direction. So there's one beaded component. I think it looks lovely, and I love the flash in that stone. So you're going to need a total of 4 of these, 2 for each strand. Let me show you the next one. Once again, I'm going to grab the wire about 1.25 inches down, kink it, switch to this part, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, grab the loop, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little sharp end. This time I'm going to load an oval bead, just like that by itself. Grab the wire with my round nose pliers, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Now I'm not going to do the wraps just yet because I need to connect other beads, so I'm just going to leave it open for now. Let me go ahead and do a red one, and then I'll show you how to connect them. Once again, I'm going to grab the wire 1.25 inches down, kink it, switch to this part, wrap the tail around the nose, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Grab the loop, grab the tail and do some wraps. I actually have my cat on my lap right now, so it's a little difficult to work because I'm sitting further back than I want to. So now I'm going to cut off the excess. Tuck in the little tail. Load one of these red beads. Grab the wire with my round nose pliers, line up the bottom loop, kink it, Switch to this part, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. And now I'm going to open up this loop, and I'm going to insert this component, just like that. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do some wraps. I usually only do 2 wraps, but you can certainly do more if you want to. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little sharp end. So this is what we have so far. And now I'm going to connect this component. I'm going to slide the closed loop into the open loop, like this. Grab the loop again. Grab the tail. And do my wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little sharp end. And that's what we have so far. And that's how I'm going to build the entire necklace. I'm going to alternate between a red bead and then a blue bead or a Labradorite bead and then another red bead. I think I'll build 6 beaded components for each strand, but you can build as many as you want to, depending on how long you want your necklace. So to save time, I'm going to do them off camera, and then I'll come back and show you exactly what I did. Well, I'm back, and as you can see, I built both strands. Each one measures about 4 3/4 inches. Now I left these 2 ends open because we're going to be attaching some cord end tips later on. We're actually going to make them out of wire. And at this end, we're going to be attaching the pendant, and that's what we're going to do next. Let me get the materials we're going to need for the pendant. Here are the materials for the pendant. I have the Seahorse Pendant, and I have the Starfish Charm, and I have some blue Preciosa peanut beads, and I also have a piece of 20 gauge wire. It measures about 5 inches. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this part's going to be a little bit challenging, and it may take a couple of times before you get it right. We're going to be forming a ring, and we're going to load some beads on it. And that part's easy. What's difficult is the loop that we're going to be creating. It's going to be a combination between a wrap loop and a simple loop. And since this is 20 gauge wire, it's really challenging to wrap 20 gauge wire. At least it is for me anyways. And to form the ring, you're going to need something round. I couldn't find my mandrel set, so I'm going to use this tube of seed beads. It measures about 13 millimeters, I think. Let me check. Actually, it measures a little bit more than 13, closer to 14 millimeters. But you can make your ring any size. You'll just have to adjust the number of beads that you're going to be loading on it. So let me show you how to do this. I'm simply going to wrap the wire around the tube the best way that I can. Just like that. It's not a perfect ring, but you won't really see it because we're going to be threading beads onto it. So now using my needle nose pliers, I'm going to create a little kink here, right where the 2 pieces intersect, so that it's pointing straight up like that. So far, so good. And now I'm going to open it up a little bit, and I'm going to start loading some beads. And we're also going to load the strands we created, so let me go get them. Here they are. I'm going to start by loading 4 of these peanut beads. And now one of the strands. Now this is going to be the bottom of the necklace. That's where we're going to be attaching the Seahorse Pendant, and this is actually the top. So now let me load this strand. And now I'm going to load 6 of these peanut beads. Just like that. And on this side, I'm going to load 2. maybe 3. It could change. We're going to check the spacing in a minute. This is something that you're going to have to figure out as you go along. And now I'm going to load the Starfish Charm. Let me just put it on here and I'll show you. Just like that. And again, the bottom of the necklace is where the 2 pieces of wire are. And now I'm going to load another 2 peanut beads. And this is what we have so far. I think the spacing looks okay. And now comes the challenging part. We need to create some wraps. But the good news is that we don't have to create too many wraps because this is 20 gauge wire. So I'm only going to create 2 wraps. And to help the process, I'm going to actually use my pliers to create a little bend here. Just to get it going. Make sure you slide all the beads down. And now I'm going to do a wrap with my fingers. It's very challenging because this is very hard wire. Let me use my pliers. I'm going to slide these wraps down a little bit. And let me see if I can do another wrap. You want to make sure they're as tidy as possible. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And the spacing looks pretty good as well. You may have to adjust the number of peanut beads to make sure there's no wire showing. So now I'm going to cut off the excess wire. And you definitely want to tuck in that little end. You don't want anything sharp sticking out. It's a good idea to run your finger across the wraps to make sure everything's smooth. Let me straighten out my wire a little bit. So now we're going to create a simple loop at the bottom and attach the seahorse. Let me turn it this way. I'm going to kink my wire right where the wraps are. Cut off what I don't need, and I'm leaving about 1/2 inch for the loop. And now I'm going to grab the end of the wire with my round nose pliers, make sure it's flush, and create a simple loop. And you want to make sure it's nice and closed. And you want to make sure that it's sitting straight on those wraps. And that's all there is to it. So now let me go ahead and open it up. Attach the Seahorse Pendant and close it up. Let me remove these pieces. And we don't need this bead. And tell me that's not adorable. I think it's really, really cute. So let me go over these beads with you again. We have the pendant, and then we have 6 peanut beads here, and then the strand, and then we have 4 peanut beads at the top, and then the strand on this side, and then 3 peanut beads, the charm, and 2 peanut beads. But again, you may have to use a different amount of beads depending on how big your ring is. It's something you're going to have to experiment with. And let me go over the strands with you again. I started with a red bead, and then the Labradorite with 2 peanut beads, and then another red bead, the oval bead, red bead, and a Labradorite bead with 2 peanut beads. And I have the same configuration on this side. So now we're going to finish the necklace with some leather cord. So let me go get that and I'll be right back. Here's my leather cord. Like I said earlier, it measures 36 inches. And we're going to start by cutting it into 2 pieces, 2 equal pieces. So I'm going to bring my ends together. now I have 2 pieces. And now we're going to make 2 sliding knots. So I have 1 piece on this side and 1 piece on the right side. So let me go ahead and create the first knot. You're going to take this end and you're going to fold it like this to make a little loop. Just like that. And now you want to hold on to that loop with your thumb and your index finger like this. And you're going to take the shorter end and go behind. Wrap it around the front. Go behind again. Wrap it over. Go behind again. And I know it's a little bit challenging, but you do want to hold on to those loops like this. And now we're going to take this end and go through those 2 loops. And now through this loop here. And pull. I'm pulling the right side and I'm also pulling the left side. It's a good idea to roll it between your index finger and your thumb to get a nice round shape. And you want to keep pulling it and rolling it until you get a nice round shape. You don't want it too tight because you want to make sure that it slides. Let me test it. And it looks like it's sliding just fine. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple. So now we're going to create another knot on the other side. So let me flip it over. Once again, I'm going to make a loop. Like this. Shorten it a little bit. Hold on to it. Take the tail and go behind. And again, go up and over. And go up and over one more time. Take the tail and go through the 2 loops that I just created. Like this. Hold on to those loops and go through this one now. Pull. Pull the right and pull the left side until you get a nice small knot. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple. Test it to make sure it's sliding. And it's sliding just fine. And now we have our 2 knots. The way it works is that you pull on these tails. And that shortens the necklace. And then if you pull on the ends and bring the knots in, it lengthens the necklace. And now we're going to finish off these ends by adding some peanut beads. I have 4 beads here. And this part's really easy. I'm going to slide on a peanut bead. I'm actually going to load 2 of them. And they barely fit on this 1mm leather cord. Let me use my pliers. And now we're going to form a knot, just a regular knot, nothing fancy. And I'm going to slide it down to about 1 inch from these sliding knots, something like that. And Now to make that knot a little bit more secure, I'm going to add some glue to it. I have GS Hypo Cement. And I'm going to apply the glue right onto the knot like this. You don't really need that much. Now I don't like to add glue to the sliding knots because it might stick to the leather cord and then you won't be able to slide the knots. So it's a good idea not to add any glue to that. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off now, leaving just a little bit. And that's what it looks like. I think it's really cute. Let me go ahead and do this side now. So now we've completed the sliding knots and we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to be creating a cord end tip just like this one. I made that using 22 gauge wire and I have a 4-inch piece right here. So let me show you how we're going to do this. Now before you do it, you want to make sure that your sliding knots are up against each other like that. Let me get my ruler. I'm going to measure out 9 inches and that's based on the length of my strands and how much leather I think I need to get it over my head. Yours may be different. It all depends on how long your strands are. And sometimes the size of your loops can affect the length of the strands. So you may need a little bit more than 9 inches. That's something you're going to have to figure out. Now before I measure it out, I'm going to create a loop with this wire. And it's going to be a little bit different than how we normally do it. I'm going to grab the wire at the bottom, about 1 inch or so from the bottom like this, kink it, switch to the long part of the wire like this, and now I'm going to take that tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, just like that. And now I'm going to measure 9 inches. And it's 9 inches from the sliding knot. I'm going to take the loop that I just created and I'm going to place it right where my thumb is, my thumbnail. And that's the 9-inch point, just like that. I'm going to grab the loop and the leather with my skinny pliers. And now I'm going to grab the long piece with my other pliers and I'm going to create some wraps. You want to try to make sure your wraps are nice and neat. And before I go any further, I'm going to snip off some of this wire. And I'm going to continue making wraps right over that piece of wire that's sticking out, because we want to make sure we cover it up. That looks pretty good. I'm going to cut off the excess. And I'm going to tuck in that little sharp end. You definitely don't want anything sharp sticking out. Let me straighten out my wraps a little bit. Let me straighten out my loop as well. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple. So now we need to cut off this leather. I'm going to come in here as close as I can, being cautious about making sure I don't cut the wire. And let me clean it up a little bit. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple, and they look really nice. Here's my necklace. I'm simply going to attach them to this loop And that's the reason we left these loops open. And I'm just going to do some wraps. And now I'm going to cut off the excess and tuck in the little sharp end. So this side's done. And now we need to attach this side. I'm trying to work with the natural curve of the leather. Now, one thing I did want to address is the orientation of the loops on the beaded components. You need to make sure that they're oriented properly, otherwise your necklace won't sit properly on your chest. Let me show you what I mean. If you'll notice on this side, the loops are vertical or perpendicular to my mat. And then the next component, they're parallel or horizontal. This one right here. The next one's vertical. This one's horizontal. This one's vertical. This one's horizontal. And the loop of the cord end tip is vertical. And that's what you want. So when you go to connect your leather cord end tips, you want to make sure the loops on your beaded components are facing the right direction. Well, here's the finished ocean theme necklace with sliding knots. It's definitely adjustable. And I did swap out my flowers for a more patriotic theme. If Sam's bead box had had something white, I would have probably used it. But I think the silver with the red and blue looks really nice. And of course you could always wear a white outfit or a white top if you wanted to go to a 4th of July event. But I'm pretty happy with this necklace. I think it's really cute. And I know you can't see the whole thing, so let me pan the camera down. There's the bottom. And now let me go up. There's the top. And let me show you how it works again. I usually don't pull on these because it tightens up the knot too much. So what I do is I pull on the knot itself. Just like that. Same thing on this side. And now we have a nice long necklace. If you wanted to wear it like that, it would definitely fit over your head. And then to shorten it, you pull on the knots this way. And now we have a shorter necklace. Let me just arrange it nicely on my mat. So anyway, guys, as usual, I'd like to go ahead and put this necklace on to show you what it looks like. So let me do that and I'll see you in a few moments. Well, what do you think? Do you like this necklace? I certainly do. It's put me in the mood to go to the beach now. Now, one thing I didn't mention in the tutorial, you have to use leather cord that's smooth. You can't use the natural kind because the natural kind doesn't have a gloss and it's not very slippery. So it's going to be very difficult to slide those knots on that kind of leather. Just make sure that your leather cord has a little bit of sheen on it. And also don't make the knots too tight because when you're using thin leather cord, it could break. Your other option would be to use leather cord that's a little bit thicker. And of course, if you don't like leather cord, you could use chain instead. Just be creative and do your thing and do what suits you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.